Srila Prabhupada. O good soul, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by that very same thing? Would you like to repeat? O good soul, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by that very same thing? Purport. An expert physician treats his patient with a therapeutic diet. For example, milk preparations sometimes cause disorder of the bowels, but the very same milk, converted into curd and mixed with some other remedial ingredients, cures such disorders. Similarly, the threefold miseries of material existence cannot be mitigated simply by material activities. Such activities have to be spiritualized. Just as by fire, iron is made red hot, and thereby the action of fire begins. Similarly, the material conception of a thing is at once changed as soon as it is put into the service of the Lord. That is the secret of spiritual success. We should not try to lord it over the material nature, nor should we reject material things. The best way to make the best use of a bad bargain is to use everything in relation with the Supreme Spiritual Being. Everything is an emanation from the Supreme Spirit, and by His inconceivable power, He can convert spirit into matter and matter into spirit. Therefore, a material thing, so-called, is at once turned into a spiritual force by the great will of the Lord. The necessary condition for such a change is to employ so-called matter in the service of the Spirit. That is the way to treat our material diseases and elevate ourselves to the spiritual plane where there is no misery, no lamentation, and no fear. When everything is employed in the service of the Lord, we can experience there is nothing except the Supreme Brahman. The Vedic mantra that everything is Brahman is thus realized by us. Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Yuta Parakamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sarvajata Sahana Raghunatham Tam Sajivam Sarvekam Sahadutam Harijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Balaram Sahana Lalita Shri Shakamitam Shasha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Gaurani Prachayane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Acharya Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Saraswati Namine Sri Varshabhana Devi Daikaya Prabhavade Krishna Sambandha Vijnana Daye Prabhavena Madhuryo Jvala Premadya Shri Rupa Nurga Bhaktida Shri Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namaste Namaste Gaura Bhavani Shri Murtaye Vinajayate Namo Gorkishoraya Sakshat Vairagyamurte Vipralambara Sambode Paramujayate Namo Bhakti Vinodaya Satchidanandamine Gaura Shakti Swarupaya Rupanamujayate Gaura Virbhava Bhumestam Nirdesa Satchanapya Vaishnava Sarvatomashi Jagannathaya Te Namaha Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasandho Devacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Name Gauratiše Namaha Panchatattvam Krishnam Bhaktarupa Sarupakam Bhaktavataram Bhaktatyam Nami Bhakti Shaktinam He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandho Jagatpate Lokesha Yogirakanta Radha Namaste Jayatam Suratopam Lord Mahamanga Madergati Matsarvasya Bhavanamurjo Radha Maranohano Divya Vrindaranya Kalpa Dhumata Srimad Ratnakara Simhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Vishnavi Sevamasami Srimad Rasarasarvati Vamshi Bhagavatastika Karshangre Musvane Gopi Gopinata Shri Krishna Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vishwanusude Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Hridaya Tusidevaya Priyaya Kesasya Vishnu Bhakti Padevi Satchajaya Namo Namaha Sri Nrsimha Jai Nrsimha Jai Jai Nrsimha Prahaladesha Jaya Padma Yada yada hi dharmasya dhanirvavati bharata abhidhanam dharmasya dharmanam sujanam parikranaya sadhunam vinasaya jashya dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge manmana bhava madbhakto yaji mam namaskuru Mami Vaishyasti Nistayam Atmanam Parayanaha Sarvadharmam Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja Aham Tam Sarvabhakebhyo Mokshayasami Ma Sujaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Amayo yascha bhutanam, jayate yena suvrata, tadeva hyamayam dravyam, napunati chikitsitam. O good soul, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by that very same thing? Hare Krishna. To be with all the Vaishnavis, is a great blessing for me, and I thank you very much for this opportunity to sit in your presence. I will say something by the grace of Srila Prabhupada and all the devotees present for my own self-purification. And Apologies to anyone who is accepting something special today. Hare Krishna. So, when they had asked me to give a class, they said that there should be a topic. And I was reading in the Srimad Bhagavatam in the 4th canto about the different processes of devotional service, and it was mentioned in there that the application of bhakti yoga in life. And so I thought about that. I offered it as a topic for lack of anything else. It seemed rather general. But then I looked at the word apply, and it had several very interesting meanings. The etymological meaning is to fasten to apply something, you fasten to it. And another is to put something into operation. And yet another is to make something relevant. And a fourth is to spread something, you apply it. And in this verse, this word chikitsitam is kind of a treatment by which we cure the disease of materialism, which Lord Chaitanya explained to Sanatana Goswami in his teachings. Bhayam dvitiya viniveshatasya nishad apetasya viparyayosmiti. He said that we've become turned around in the wrong direction. Means apetasya, we're turned in the wrong direction. And therefore we're in ignorance. We don't see the light, we don't see Krishna, and therefore we suffer. And therefore, bhayam dvitiya abhiniveshatasya. We become, abhiniveshata means absorbed in dvitiya, that which is not Krishna. And therefore, bhayam, or fear, arises. There's a cause of material existence, a fearful existence. So, how to cure that disease means to apply bhakti yoga in one's life. Anartho pasanam sakshad bhakti yoga madhoksaje lokasya ajanato vidvams sattvam chakrita sattvitam loke chakrita sattvitam. The Srila Vyasadeva came and gave a very specific kind of medicine by which everybody could become cured from the material disease just by applying it to their own life. Application, of course, is very important because just like in mathematics, there's applied math and then there's theoretical math. And some people study theoretical math, just think about it, I guess. Think about numbers and how the theory applies. But then there's, of course, applied mathematics, where you actually do something with it. And similarly, that's true in any realm of life, of course, because you can say, well, I'm thinking about applying something, or you can actually apply it. And the latter is much more rewarding, of course, because if I offer to cook you dinner and to offer you something, I made you something, I almost cooked you dinner. A lot of people almost do something. I almost finished. I almost started. I almost continued. But it doesn't quite make it happen. So applying something is very important. And the first meaning, the etymological meaning of this word, apply, is to fasten to. So one application, which is very easy in Bhakti Yoga, is to fasten oneself to a devotee. We go around, I was going around India with a godbrother of mine, and we were offering obeisances in many different temples that we had never been to before. Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Krishtaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamini. And my godbrother looked at me and said, we're going to all these temples and deities and we're offering this prayer to Srila Prabhupada. Why are we doing this? And then he said, I know, I'll tell you the answer. And I said, so why? And he said, because we're going everywhere and we're saying, this is who we're with. This is who let us in here. You see, when you want to get in somewhere and you don't have access, you got to fasten yourself to somebody who gets you in. And it's easy. So, I'm with him. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Is it Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna? Okay, you can come in. This is the idea. You can come in if you're fastened to a Vaishnava. And Vaishnavas are so merciful. In the story of the Chaitanya Charitamrita of Shivananda saying, when he took all the devotees from Srikanda, and Advaita Acharya came, and they all were going to see Mahaprabhu because they had heard from Sarup Damodar that Mahaprabhu had come back from Vrindavan, and now he was in Puri, and everyone could see him, their life had come back. And now they were all coming, and Shivananda Singh arranged everything along the way. He organized all the meals, and he organized all the lodging, and he made sure that all the tolls were paid across the rivers. And as all these exalted Vaishnavas were traveling, a dog, street dog, came along and started following the pack of devotees. Now there's a morning walk you can hear where Prabhupada's walking on the beach, and some dog came by, and some devotees yelled at him, because Prabhupada sometimes used to go, hut, hut! Remember? And then the dog would run away, and some devotees yelled, hut, hut! And Prabhupada said, no, he wants to come with us. he said, he's recognized there's some Vaishnavas here, and he wants to come along. And I said, let him come. So Shivananda Singh was like this. He was so merciful. He saw the street dog, and he said, yeah, let him come. Not only that, he had a servant cook rice for him every night. He cooked rice to make sure the dog was taken care of. He shows some mercy. These Vaishnavas, real Vaishnav's heart is they're looking all the time, at every living entity, at every living being. They're showing supreme kindness. This is their mode. Sarvabhuteshu yapashye bhagavad bhavamatmanaha bhutani bhagavatyatmani esha bhagavatotamaha. Described in the Srimad Bhagavatam, how the highest devotee, he has this bhava that everywhere he looks, he sees Krishna, and he wants to engage everything in Krishna's service. And yes, Yasmin sarvani bhutani atmai vadhu vijanataha tatra ko mahakashoka ekat brahmana pashitaha. Yastu sarvani bhutani atmani vadhu pashiti sarva bhuteshu chapmanam tatuna vijigutsate. There's no trouble ever or anxiety for a devotee because he's always seeing Krishna everywhere. And he sees how the living entity is there, and he's always trying to do some kindness. So the Vaishnavas, like Shivananda saying, he took in the street dog, and he paid for it to go across the river. Because the boatman was like, no dog on my boat. And he's like, okay, here's extra money. He paid him a lot of extra money just to get the dog across. And then, of course, Shivananda Singh was busy. He had to take care of all the devotees, and then the servant forgot to feed the dog its rice. And the dog took off. And Shivananda Singh actually became morose. He was in such anxiety, and the whole party of devotees, from Kulinagram and Srikanda and Advaita Acharya, all the devotees, because of this feeling of Shivananda Singh for the dog and the Vaishnavas, so they had taken care of it, that they became unhappy. That the dog was not fed. He went away without being fed. So they went all the way to Puri with some anxiety about that. And then they went to the temple, and they took their bath. They came to see Mahaprabhu, and lo and behold, the dog was there with Mahaprabhu. And the dog was sitting, and he was accepting this green coconut pulp. Mahaprabhu was taking from his plate and throwing these remnants to the dog. And he said, chant Krishna, the dog in his own way. Krishna, Krishna. He was chanting. And then the next day the dog disappeared. And everyone had understood that he went back to home, back to God. By that mercy of the devotees. Now, if you read in that section Prabhupada's purports, you'll never have to feel an anxiety ever again in your life, because it gives the mood, the direction for how to apply Bhakti Yoga in our lives. And that is, he says, we should become like that. We should become like Shivananda Singh, and we should have compassion for other living beings and want to give them this special mercy. He said, if they just get a little bit of prasadam, or if they just get a little bit of service, su alpam, neha vikramanasho sti pratyavaya vidyate swalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhaya. Just a tiny little start. And he said, even if they don't know it, they will be delivered. Even if they don't even know what they got. I was out, we do the Sankirtan in Northern California where I live, all the devotees go on Sankirtan, book distribution. And we also take out cookies. We like to distribute a lot of prasada. And one day we had this table, we have tables we distribute from, with the racks of books and lots of prasada to give out, wrapped cookies. And it was in Santa Cruz, California, on the street. And this young man came along and he thought that we were selling the cookies. Actually, we're not, we're giving them away. And he thought that maybe he'd do us a disservice by starting to eat them without giving a donation. And I have a picture of him. He's got this look on his face. And right behind him is a devotee named Akurnath, who's a great soul who goes out to distribute his prasadam and books. And he's standing behind him with this wonderful smile on his face. He's sort of laughing. Here's this guy. He was a real wiseacre. You know, he thought he'd come over. He had his hat on sideways, and he was taking the cookies. Ha ha ha! How much you want for these? Crunch. And we both were laughing because he didn't know what he was doing. So we have to distribute, and if someone gets a little bit something, then they can begin on their path back home, back to Godhead. It's very, very simple. So we have to attach ourselves to Vaishnavas. And it's not required that we be a great exalted Mahatma to do this, actually. The Bhagavatam says, Vejre Muniyota Gre Bhagavantam Atoksaja Sattvam Vishuddham Shemaya Kalpante Yenataniha. It says in Divinity and Divine Service, there's 34 wonderful verses from the first canto, second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, which everyone can read over and over and over again and go deeper and deeper into devotional service. And this verse, Vejre Muniyota Gre, means previously all the great, exalted, elevated souls worshipped Vishnu because of his being beyond the three modes of material nature, and therefore they attained the highest benefit. There's no higher benefit than worshipping Lord Vishnu. If you worship the Lord, he's beyond the modes of material nature. You'll come to the highest stage of life. So all the liberated souls, they worship the Lord like this. Vejre Muneyo Tagre Bhagavantam Adhoksaja Krishna, who is beyond the power of our speech. From A to Z, you have letters, you have combinations of words, but Krishna is beyond all those. Sattvam Vishuddham Shemaya Kalpante Yenataniha. Anu means to follow. So, if you just follow in the footsteps of these previous sages, you don't have to be a sage yourself. You don't have to be a Mahatma. But the verse says, Kalpante Yenataniha, if you follow what they did, you are eligible for the exact same result. Hare Krishna. Means if you follow the footsteps. Tvaya bhujakshati lasatvadani samadhina veshatu chetasayake. The Srimad Bhagavatam, the demigods came to pray to Lord Krishna, who is within the womb, who is appearing in this world from the womb of Devaki. And the demigods all came to pray. And they said, Tvayam bhujakshati lasatvadani. They were saying that, oh my Lord, you're the source of the whole creation. Everything comes from you. Everything. And they said, anyone who absorbs his or her mind in thinking of you attains the perfection of life. Samadhina veshat chetasayake. If you just do this one thing, if you just meditate on Krishna, if you just think of Krishna, then your life will become perfect. Padapotena mahakritena govatsa. Kurvanti govatsa padam bhavadnyam. Who knows what vatsa padam is? What's vatsa padam? It's a little hoof print of a calf. It's a nice thing to meditate on. Little calf walking around and he has a little hoof like that. Puts his foot, little impression in the mud, and then a little rainwater gets in there. That's how big the whole material creation shrinks to. If one takes shelter of the great Mahatmas. Mahatkritena means that the great Mahatmas come to this world, like Srila Prabhupada, and they give us a process that we can follow, and it makes it easy. And the huge ocean of material existence shrinks down to the Vaisesika, the size of the water contained within the hoofprint of a calf. You can easily jump over it. And actually, it says that that's a boat. That this process is like a boat. But the fact is that you don't even need the boat, because once you approach the process, the whole material existence shrinks. And it becomes tiny, and you can step over it. The reason that it is potent, the reason that it is powerful, is because it's authorized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, because it's done by a great soul. Because a great soul comes and gives the process, and the Lord stamps it and says, yes, this is bona fide. So anyone else who gets in there and follows that, fastens themselves to that process, then they're also easily transported across the ocean of material existence. So applying Bhakti Yoga in life, very important to attach oneself to a Vaishnava. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, when he used to travel and preach, sometimes he would get out in some town at a train station, there would be big fanfare, and people would come and they would say, "You please come and meet our guru." And he would ask, what line is he in? Who is his guru? And they say, no, he's just, had no line. Self-effulgent. And he'd get back on the train and go ahead. We want to know who you're under. We want to know what's your pranam mantra, which significant Vaishnava you're fastening yourself to. This is applied Bhakti Yoga. And then another meaning of applied is this bringing into operation. You know, you can have a vehicle, but if you don't bring it into operation, then it won't go. So Brahma Samhita said, Prabhude Jnana Bhakti Vyamayananda Chinmayi Udetyanatama Bhaktir Bhagavat Prema Lakshana. That this bhakti is excited. It's already there. Nitya Siddha Krishna Prema Sajjaka Munoi. It's there within the heart of everyone. But it needs to be excited by coming into contact with the Ananda and the Chit potency. And that comes from association with devotees again. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made this point very clear in his teachings to Sanatana Goswami. If you read this section in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, over and over again, he's bringing in verses saying, you start your bhakti by association with devotees. By association. Because they carry the Lord within their heart. And Yudhishthira Maharaj said this to Vidura. He said, you're carrying the Supreme Personality of Godhead within your heart. And therefore, everywhere you go is a holy place of pilgrimage. So, Prabhude Jnana Bhakti Vyamayananda Chinmayi. What do you get when you associate with devotees? You get, Srila Prabhupada said these two things, knowledge and practice. Knowledge and practice. Knowledge and practice. That's what you need, knowledge and practice. So you get the knowledge, Prabhude Jnana Bhakti Vyam. And then Atmayananda Chinmayi, it awakens from within the heart the natural tendency to be a devotee. This is lying dormant. And just by association also with what do we get from the Mahatmas, from association with great devotees? We get the sound vibration of this mantra. Just like Brahma, he's the first in our disciplic succession, right? And so he was performing tapasya to try to figure out what his position was, where he was, what to do. And Brahma Samhita says, Uvacha puritas tasmai tasya divya saraswati Kama Krishnaya Govinda He Gopi Janityapi Balabhaya Priyavani Mantram Te Vasati Priyam. That Brahma was approached by the divine Saraswati and she gave him the mantra. It's Gopal mantra. And he began to chant it. Tapastam tapa etena tapasiddhir bhavishyati. So she told him that if you perform this tapasya by pronouncing this mantra over and over again, you will attain all perfection. And that perfection is described that your faith increases. Yadrishi, yadrishi, shraddha siddhir bhavati tadrishi. The more that your shraddha increases, the more you become perfect. And the definition of Shraddha is given in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Shraddha Shabdi Vishwash Kohe Surida Nishchoy Krishna Bhakti Kohe Sarva Karma Krita Hoy. That it means that you have firm faith when you think there's nothing that I have to do separate from Krishna consciousness, separate from engaging in bhakti. And if I do that, sarva karma krita hoy, then everything else will be completed. Everything else will be satisfied if I do that. So, to bring something into, we have to also apply it. And it's like becoming wealthy. Srila Prabhupada, when he was preaching to businessmen, Siddhanta yesterday was reading to me from his book, a collection of devotees talking about their experiences with Srila Prabhupada. And Giriraj Swami was saying how Prabhupada was so expert when he preached to businessmen. He would say, you have to make a ledger. And on one side you see when you do material activities, you don't get anything. But when you perform spiritual activities, you actually put something in your bank account. So, Sringatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Hridya Taksto Hibhadrani Vidu Noti Suritsata. Lord Shri Krishna, who is the Paramatma, the super soul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor, the truthful devotee, cleanses desire from material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee, who relishes his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. Is punya, Shravana Kirtana, that punya develops within the heart. Just by hearing, the hearing process. So who said, maybe Siddhanta, I was sitting next to him on the airplane yesterday, getting all kinds of good advice. He said that the two ears are like receptacles. And someone had complained that don't put garbage in these receptacles. But if we put the transcendental sound vibration in, then naturally the heart becomes cured. Chikitsitam. Just by hearing Punya Shravana Kirtana, we develop our pious life just by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam and hearing the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama. Apply also means to spread. And this is the great application of Bhakti Yoga, that it must be spread. It has to be given to others. Jiva Doi Krishna Nam Sarva Dharma Sar. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says the essence of religion, the sar, the cream, is that you show mercy to other living entities, other living beings. Krishna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. Over and over again, he says, one who is a kind friend to all living entities. That person is very dear to me. This person can approach the Lord. So, to show kindness, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, means to give Krishna consciousness to others, to give others an opportunity to hear about Krishna. And so, we have this prasadam. We can distribute prasadam everywhere we go. This is practical. You know, every devotee here knows about prasadam. Every devotee here, I'll bet, loves prasadam. And you can distribute prasadam to everyone. Why not give it to everyone else? I just came back from a trip in Asia. And we were traveling with a few other devotees, and we had big bags of prasadam wherever we went to pass out to people. And I'll tell you one thing, I was at the airport, because we were going all these different airports, going to different countries, and we were at one airport, I think it was in Korea, and when we got to up to the front, we had, the devotees were putting their bags on the scale. And the lady behind the counter said, I think it's overweight. And just then I put a piece of prasadam in front of her. And she was looking down at the little scale thing about to charge us, you know, and a big smile came out of her face. And she goes, okay. And the devotees went, Jai, prasadam! So then a few minutes later there was this devotee, Ekachakra, who's a real jolly devotee. And we were talking to her, and then he takes another piece of prasadam and puts it in front of her and goes, could we get an upgrade? Of course, she didn't give it. The flight was full. But everywhere, through the security lines, even all those people, what a boring job. You know, you stand there all day and look at and going through, is there a gun, is there a knife, is there something that explodes? They're looking all the time. You can give prasadam to all these people, and immediately their day becomes successful. Their day, their life. Their whole existence becomes purified. Why not give prasadam? Get prasadam, give prasadam. This is what our job is. This is what makes us happy. This is how to apply bhakti yoga, is to give it to others. You have to give it out, give it out, give it out, and arrange your life so that you can give it out to everybody all the time. When you're giving it out, you're getting it. We have a habit when we sell books. This means, when I say we, I mean this group of devotees that I'm allowed to associate with in San Jose. They go out and they do this book distribution. And after they sell a book, they ask the person, they say, do you believe in the power of prayer? And people say yes. Amazingly, 99% of the time, they say, yeah, I believe in the power of prayer. So we say, may I teach you this prayer? It's in Sanskrit, it's a little hard to pronounce, but just try it, I'll teach you the pronunciation. A lot of people already say, oh, I know, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, let's start from the beginning now. And we take them through it, we teach them the mantra. You know, and you hear on the street, the devotees are teaching them this Hare Krishna, they're repeating, and it's so nice. You know, I know whenever I do this, the next morning I'm sitting chanting japa, and it comes back to me in my mind. The vibration. It's something special too, because when you're giving it out to new people, and you see for the first time the smile that comes on their face and the happiness, and you know the philosophy. Akila Shuti, Mali Ratnamala, Duti Miraji Dapara Pankajanta, I Mukta Kalera Pasyamanam, Paritastam Harinam Samshrayami. Rupa Goswami says, Rupa Goswami, we're getting advice from Rupa Goswami. He says, Akila Shruti, all the Shrutis, all the Vedas, there, if you go in the door, you open the door, you look early in the morning, all the Shrutis, they're in there doing a puja. They're offering Mangalarti. And who are they offering Mangalarti to? To the tips of the toes of the lotus feet of the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare. I Mukta Kalera Pasyamanam. He says, all the great souls, they're chanting this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. All the liberated souls. Narada Muni's chanting. Lord Shiva's chanting. Shukadeva Goswami's chanting. All the liberated souls are chanting. Now you teach it to somebody on the street who's just walking along, minding their own business. Excuse me, sir, come over here. I'm going to teach you something. Try this. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. All the other vibrations. In the Bhagavatam, it says, Narada Muni tells Vyasadeva, all after he compiled the Vedas, he says, all the things you've described will simply agitate the mind and become disturbed, like a boat on water disturbed by the wind. You have to teach them Bhagavatam. And this vibration of Hare Krishna, it's the only thing that will satisfy the soul, actually, make them happy. So we have to distribute it. And the books. These books are Prabhupada brought the books to America. He brought trunks full of books. He said it over and over again. It was his life to write these books. They're so beautiful. They're poetry. There's nothing like them. They cannot be surpassed. They cannot be replaced. They're eternally perfect. They're eternally the expression of Srila Prabhupada's heart. And we have them. We have warehouses full of them. We need to give them to others. We need to give them to ourselves. I heard the other day someone was saying, when you read these books, you read them cover to cover. Isn't that nice? Read them what?
Cover to cover.
Yeah, think of that. What a meditation in life. Read Prabhupada's books cover to cover. Prabhupada said, read them thoroughly, threadbare, discuss them. And then go give them out to people. It's not that hard, and everyone's looking for it. And this is what Vyasadeva asked for. This is what Narada Muni is asking for. This is what Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur is asking us. This is what Srila Prabhupada asked us to do. And if we do that, Shushu Shro Shradhanasya Vasudeva Gitavichi Syat Mahatseveya Vipra Punya Tirtha Shevana. You're doing great service. You're doing something worthwhile. You're doing something that is, excuse the cliche, that is off the charts. You can't measure it. You can't measure the kind of advancement you make spiritually by dedicating your life to distributing the books of Srila Prabhupada. It's impossible to measure. The kind of qualification you'll get for hearing means that you develop actual ruchi by the mercy of these great souls, by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada. So they're made available to us in mass quantity. We were reading just from the airport yesterday. We read one chapter of Beyond Birth and Death. Who has a copy of Beyond Birth and Death? Who's ever read the whole thing? Yeah, a few devotees. I offer my obeisances to you. But the fact is, it's a perfect book. It's fantastic. This Beyond Birth and Death, if you read it, and you know, sometimes it's just a small book. So I took up the whole Bhagavatam to deal with it. But if you read it cover to cover, you'll find out that this is not ordinary. This is something special. If this gets out in society, I don't know what might happen. A revolution might start. It has in other countries. People get the books and they go, "Oh my God, what is this? Never heard it before." Something like this. Russia and all these countries dying to get the books. And we were just in Vietnam. Went to Vietnam to distribute books. And boy, I'll tell you, it makes you appreciate America, how free we are here. You can just walk out anywhere, do whatever you want here. But if you go to Vietnam, they're watching you all the time. And if you start doing anything that looks like you're going to, teach people something more about God, they'll put you in jail. You might just disappear. It's a communist government. So you have to do it really carefully. But here, you could go anywhere. Navina Nirda Prabhu flew in yesterday. He carries the Bhagavad Gita with him wherever he goes because he chants one chapter of Bhagavad Gita a day without fail. This is Navina over here. He flew all the way from Switzerland to come to this festival of inspiration. He told me this morning, he said, I got the solution. You carry your Bhagavad Gita with you, you chant your chapter, and then you distribute it. And he said there's special potency from that Bhagavad Gita because you kept it, you read it, something yourself. There's some exchange. Anyway, the point is this applied bhakti yoga means everyone's looking for one thing really. They don't want money, they don't want cars, they don't want a house. I prove it too, because if we offer someone here a palace and cars and money, but you can have no other living entity there. Okay? After a week, if one green parrot flies into your house, he'll become your best friend. Because that's what we want. We want an exchange. And, it's these little things of exchange of consciousness between living entities where you actually give some consciousness. That's what everyone's craving. They're dying for it. I'll tell you, my friend Satyadev, who is a paramedic, and he retired. Now he's preaching full-time in Japan. And Satyadev used to tell us all these stories about being a paramedic. Every day you see people die and, in dire conditions. And he'd always remind us, you can die anytime for any reason, unexpectedly. And then he told us, one thing really stuck with me. He said, many times he'd get 911 calls, emergency. He'd answer the call, he'd go to the house, and it turns out it would be some old lady. She can't come out of the house. She's a shut-in, because when you get old, it's very hard, really. You might fall. Anything can happen. The outside world seems strange and threatening. So why does she call 911? Out of loneliness. Loneliness. So lonely. Couldn't stand it one more second. She called 911. Please send somebody. And Satyadev came, sat down, had a cup of tea with her, talked to her for half an hour, and again she could live for a few more days. And actually, this is existence in the material world. We're dying here. The reason we go to sleep at night is we can't stand it without the sun anymore, the representative of Krishna. And the reason we're dying over and over again. We're not getting Krishna. Nobody's getting Krishna here. So we have something given to us very special. This is the medicine, chikitsitam. It's applied. We have to take it. We have to give it. And when we give it out of kindness for other people with no expectation of return, what return do we need? Krishna is supplying everything already. He's giving us everything we need. We just need to give this kindness to other living beings. And that is the essence of religion. There's nothing greater than that. Jive doi Krishna nam sarvadharma sar. You have to give mercy. And then you will get mercy. And you have to be kind to other living beings. And this is real advancement. The lowest class devotee is described acharyam eva haraye ujamya shariri hipe natad bhakteshu chanyeshu sabhakta prakrita smritaha. That the lowest entry-level devotee means I see Krishna, but everyone else can go to hell. I don't care. Or, no consideration. Can't see the devotee, can't see that other living entities are actually connected with Krishna. But Jiva Goswami says that this kind of devotion is like offering ghee onto ashes instead of fire. It won't have any effect. But the littlest application of Bhakti Yoga, by organizing my life so that I can give mercy to other living beings, under the direction of the great Mahatmas, this will have immediate, powerful effect. So this is one aspect of application of Bhakti Yoga. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Is there a microphone?
I can just speak real loud.
But they can't hear in the kitchen. Okay. Yeah, all right, I'll repeat the question. Then.
So we all I think most people have 9 to 5s and busy and stuff, don't have time to read a lot of books or just don't get around to it. And, we don't have pace sometimes, but I'm just hearing you speak on one word, for the last hour or whatever it's been. And you probably could go on for a week or 2 or more without cessation. And so how can, people like myself who don't have that much space, don't go into Prabhupada's books that much, don't just read through it and it comes in here and out there, at best, can go into so much is there. Each word, just the one word to it, and talk for an hour. How can we appreciate like this Prabhupada's book so we actually have that burning desire, that craving, that need, that peace, the hunger for Srila Prabhupada's words? How can we manifest that?
Well, one thing that you asked was that if we're very busy. I know you're busy distributing books all the time. But if we're very busy 9 to 5, which most of us are, because it's a very busy world these days, busy. And everyone's got to go here and there and maintain the overhead. There's fire insurance, there's life insurance, there's health insurance, there's extra insurance. I mean, there's earthquake insurance where I come from. It doesn't do much, but just the insurance alone will keep me busy for the rest of my life. Making the overhead. What to speak of anything else. So we're very busy. One thing is that even if it's a little bit, like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says that Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya means always worshipping the Bhagavat, always hearing the Bhagavat. In this age it means at least once a day we should do it. And even if it's a small bit that we add to our life, I like this analogy that if you take a pot of milk and you add a little bit of yogurt, even if it's a small bit, and you leave it in the right environment, then overnight the whole pot will turn to yogurt. So I know, again, to use my friend Satyadev as an example, when he was working as a paramedic, he was very busy, and it was a horrible job because he had to work at these fire stations and they'd call him in the middle of the night sometimes. And sometimes you have to work 48 hours without sleeping. And try that schedule for your Bhakti Yoga regulation. But what he would do is read at least one verse a day. And I was always surprised because he would read one verse and retain it because he was so intense when he was reading it. Because he was so intent on reading it when he did that he absorbed it. So, even if we just add a little bit to our lives as what we can, the question, how do we advance, means we have to do what we can with what we have now. Don't fail to do what you can do now. Just because there's so much to do, if you start where you are, then you can be successful. Have a plan. If you want to be wealthy, you got to have a wealth plan. If you want to be healthy, you got to have a health plan. If you want to be smart, you got to have a smartness plan. If you want to be beautiful, you got to have a beauty plan. And if you can't, you got to help yourself a can plan. So get yourself a can plan and apply this what you can, while you can, with what you have. And it'll expand. Spiritual vibration always expands. You know, when you start somewhere and you just try to purify the vibration. See, this is the formula. Prabhupada came and he gave pure vibration and it expanded. It's not about, you know, some formula of money or buildings. You know, if I just get the right building, people will come. People don't care. You can build a building and it'll be empty. Or you'll end up having to maintain it and you'll have a headache. But if you purify the sound vibration, then you've got something. It means first you got to work on yourself. You've got to purify your heart. And so even if you're busy, you can do so many things. In Japan, the devotees go back and forth to work. Sometimes they have to travel 2 to 4 hours on the train. There's one devotee there who gets on the train. In Japan, they wear masks sometimes. You know, if they get a cold, they're so socially conscious not to inflict their cold on somebody else. They wear a mask so nobody else will catch it. So it's common to wear this little cloth mask. So she gets on the train, she puts on her mask, and then she puts earplugs in, and nobody can see her, and then she chants her japa on the train, and she can concentrate. You know, one way or another, you have to find a way to be engaged. And the best way to have a taste is to associate with devotees who have a taste, because then it just rubs off, and then it's easy. If you find devotees that already have a taste and you associate with them, then you just get it. You catch it. That's the easiest. You get behind somebody. In Govardhan, we go for Kartik, we go on the Govardhan Parikram. And in the morning time, sometimes very dark or cold, and you can't see where you're stepping, you know, barefoot, you might step on something, whatever. So what we do is we find a sadhu. See, these sadhus go around once or twice a day, right? And then you just get behind them. And then you can fly around. Because, you know, if you're tired or whatever, you just get behind them, step for step. Just follow the sadhu if you can. Follow the sadhu if you can. So catch a sadhu. Catch yourself a sadhu. Fly. If you find someone who's got it, and you just fly around. If you live in a house, bring a sadhu in. Put him here. Sit in my house. Here, would you like some water? Have something. Just sit there and let this, you know, find a saintly person and just be around that saintly person and serve. Do some service. As Bhagavatam says, just do service to the sadhus. They'll give you everything. They'll give you everything. Look at Shivananda Saint. He took care of a dog. You know, so we can approach a sadhu and we can just beg, please give me something. Give me something. You know, this is how we should chant. We have to beg. This Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, I'm begging for the holy name. If you're not begging, you're not chanting. It means begging. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. You think I already have something, I'm okay, you know. I got a bank balance. I got a new car. I'm pretty good, you know. It's not so bad. And you chant like that, you won't get anything. But if you feel like, I'm going to die, I don't have anything. I'm the lowest person. And you chant and you beg, Krishna will give you something. So we have to beg. We have to ask for it. You know? The Bible says, ask and you shall receive. It's that easy. You just ask. Go around and ask everybody for something. Please, give me something. If you don't ask, they won't give you. You know that from Sankirtan. They go on Sankirtan, you don't ask them, they'll just walk away with the book. They say, hey, by the way, would you like to help out? Sure, I'd like to help out. It changes the whole thing. It's a whole different reaction, a whole different interaction when somebody says, I'd like to help too. I'd also like to be involved with this. I'd like to give something. Here's some hard-earned money. So go around, ask all the sadhus, give me something, please, and do some service. Yeah.
Sitting here, I just want to know, you make me want to be a devotee. And if you can do that, just from your dedication and sincerity, clearly expressed in the way you articulate all of our thoughts and scriptures, it just makes me realize when you see what people are being attracted to, old things being repackaged, like the secrets. Everyone talks about the secret, and everyone's making money on the secret, and everyone's following the secret. But what is the truth? We have the ultimate knowledge of Krishna, and when you can actually listen to people listening to
you very much. Hare Krishna. You brought out a nice point, and that is a lot of devotees each doing a little bit. It's very powerful. So we can each do our part, and everything matters. We're in a closed universe, and every single thing you do and say matters. It really does. Everything you hear, everything you say, everything you do, it has an impact on the rest of the universe, on every other living being. So do your part, whatever it is, and don't worry how humble or small it is. That's not the point. The point is that if it's connected with Krishna, if it's connected to this process, that it will have a great effect. And Lord Chaitanya will notice. Just to finish the point, Lord Chaitanya, when he was in the house of Srivas Thakur, there were all kinds of devotees coming, bringing service, doing this arti. He was showing his Mahaprakash form, and he was giving benediction to everybody. And amidst all this strum and drum, he saw at the very back of the room, there was one humble servant lady who was coming, and she was bringing these pots of Ganges water and lining them up for the Abhishek, for the Lord. And amidst the whole crowd, he saw at the very back how this lady was doing her service with such sincerity. And he stopped everything, and he said, "Who is that devotee in the back?" And they said, "Well, this is Srivas Thakur's servant. Her name is Dukhi." Dukhi means sad, misery. And Lord Chaitanya said, "Her new name is Sukhi." But the point is that if we just do whatever it is, some humble service, some little thing, it doesn't matter. If we do it nicely, with sincerity, the Lord will notice, and then our life will become perfect. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Bhaktivinoda ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Goprimana